14 reasons why you will be denied boarding at airports in 2025. Airports in 2025 aren't just more crowded, they're more complicated. Rules have changed, tech has taken over, and what used to get you through the gate might now get you turned away. Imagine this. You're all packed, passport in hand, and ready to fly. But just as you're about to board, you're told you're not getting on that plane. What happened? Well, it turns out there are a whole list of surprising reasons travelers are being denied boarding, and most of them never saw it coming. From refusing facial recognition to getting bumped for someone else's seat, these are the 14 reasons you might be grounded at the gate, and how to make sure it never happens to you. Let's start with one of the newest reasons people are getting stopped before they ever set foot on the plane. Number 1. Refusing facial recognition at the gate. If you haven't flown recently, this one might catch you off guard. At more and more airports, especially on international flights, facial recognition is now being used instead of boarding passes. That means, instead of scanning your ticket or showing your passport, cameras are scanning your face and matching it against government databases. Now here's the problem. If you refuse to participate, you might not be allowed to board at all. Domestic flyers in the US can still opt out in most cases, but international travel is a different story. If you're not a US citizen, Canadian citizen, or in one of a handful of exempt categories, you don't get a choice. And even for those who technically can opt out, manual processing can take so long that you end up missing your flight anyway. Privacy concerns or not, refusing facial recognition in 2025 can mean refusing your flight altogether. So check the rules ahead of time, because once you're at the gate, it might already be too late. Number 2. Being bumped from an overbooked flight with no volunteers. Here's a classic airline trick that's only gotten more common in 2025, and it's catching passengers by surprise. Airlines routinely sell more tickets than there are seats, assuming a few people won't show up. But when everyone does, someone gets the boot. Usually they'll ask for volunteers, maybe offer some cash, a travel voucher, or a later flight. But if nobody takes the deal, they start involuntarily bumping passengers. And no, they don't choose randomly. Passengers flying basic economy, those who checked in last, or people without loyalty status are often first on the chopping block. You could be perfectly on time, totally polite, and still be told, "Sorry, we gave your seat to someone else." The good news? If you're bumped involuntarily in the US, you may be entitled to up to 400% of your one-way fare as compensation. But only if you know to ask. To avoid the situation altogether, check in early, avoid booking the cheapest fare class, and consider joining the airline's loyalty program, even if you only fly occasionally. Because when everyone shows up, someone still has to go. Number 3. Being rude or confrontational with airline staff. This should be obvious, but it's one of the top reasons people are still getting denied at the gate. Airports are stressful. Delays, gate changes, lost baggage. It's easy to lose your cool. But here's the reality. Airline staff have the power to stop you from boarding if they believe you might be disruptive in the air. And it doesn't take yelling or throwing things to get flagged. Sometimes it's sarcasm, eye-rolling, talking down to the gate agent, or making a passive-aggressive comment loud enough for others to hear. Once that staff member sees you as a potential problem, it's game over. And here's the kicker. They don't need a big reason or even proof. If they feel uneasy, that's enough to keep you grounded. There's no refund, no rebooking, no negotiating. So if something goes wrong at the airport, even if it's not your fault, take a breath, smile, and stay polite. Being kind might not get you a first-class upgrade, but it will definitely keep you from being left behind. Number 4. Refusing to check your carry-on when asked. This is the one that ties right into that backpack thumbnail you saw. Airlines are running fuller flights than ever, which means overhead bin space runs out fast. Even if your carry-on is within the size limit, if there's no room left, flight attendants or gate agents will ask you to check it in at the last minute. And here's where things get tense. If you refuse to check your bag when requested, especially if you argue or insist on bringing it on board anyway, you can be denied boarding on the spot. Doesn't matter if your medication is inside, or your laptop, or even something expensive. Once they make the call, it's either check the bag or miss the flight. There was a real case where a couple was removed from a flight after refusing to check a carry-on that had essential medical supplies inside. It's unfortunate, but gate agents have final say. And trying to argue at the boarding door rarely ends well. Here's the hack. Always bring a personal item bag, like a backpack or under-seat bag, with all your must-haves: medication, electronics, ID, anything valuable or irreplaceable. That way, even if you're forced to gate-check your carry-on, you still have what matters most with you on the plane. Because arguing over a bag? It's just not worth missing your flight. Number 5. Smelling bad or wearing overpowering scents. This one feels personal, because it kind of is. But yes, smell can get you kicked off a flight before you even board. If airline staff or nearby passengers complain about strong body odor, heavy perfume, smoke, or even the lingering scent of certain herbs, the gate agent has the right to stop you from boarding. This isn't about being mean. It's about comfort and safety in a confined space where people can't escape for hours, and the policy is vague on purpose. There's no exact line where too much cologne becomes, sorry, you're not flying. It's all subjective, based on complaints and staff discretion. You might not even realize it, like if you had a smoke break before the airport or used a new essential oil that's overwhelming to others. So here's your move. Keep it clean, neutral, and fresh. Skip the overpowering colognes, avoid smoking in the hours before your flight, and wear clothes that haven't soaked up strong smells from food, pets, or late-night parties. Because it only takes one complaint to ground your travel plans. Number 6. Missing documents like visas, vaccine proof, or onward travel confirmation. You've got your passport, great, but for international travel, that's just the beginning. In 2025, more countries are tightening entry rules, and if you show up at the gate without the correct documents, the airline can and will deny you boarding. This includes required visas, vaccination certificates, digital travel authorizations, like Europe's ETS, proof of onward or return travel. Even if your destination doesn't require a visa for short stays, transit countries might, and many travelers forget to check that. And here's the harsh truth. The airline is responsible if they fly you somewhere you're not allowed to enter. So if you're missing a single form, they're not taking the risk. You're staying behind. To avoid this nightmare, always check entry requirements using official embassy or government websites, not just travel blogs or Reddit, and double-check everything at least a week before your flight. Some documents take time to process or print, and you don't want to be frantically uploading forms at the airport Wi-Fi kiosk. Because at the gate, I didn't know won't save your seat. Number 7. Having a booking error or falling for a scam ticket site. This one stings because you don't usually find out until you're standing at the check-in desk with your suitcase in hand. You got the email confirmation, the price looked amazing, and everything seemed fine. Until the airline tells you your name's not on the passenger list. Why? Because the booking wasn't actually valid. This happens a lot with third-party travel sites, especially the sketchy ones offering too good to be true deals. Some of these sites don't process payments properly, send fake confirmation emails, or just never finalize your booking with the airline. And if the airline's system doesn't have your name on their official list, you're not flying. Here's how to protect yourself. Book directly with the airline whenever possible. If you use a third-party site, call the airline 48 hours before your flight to confirm your reservation is active. Always screenshot your booking reference, payment receipt, and email confirmation, just in case you need proof. Because finding out your dream deal was a scam, that's not the kind of travel memory you want. Number 8. Wearing clothes that break the airline's dress code. It's rare, but it does happen. You can actually be denied boarding because of what you're wearing. Now, airlines aren't fashion police, but they do have policies against bare feet, offensive graphics, excessive skin exposure, or clothing considered disruptive or inappropriate for a shared space. For example, passengers have been removed for wearing t-shirts with explicit language, trying to board shirtless, or even wearing see-through outfits that raised concerns from other travelers. And in 2025, more airlines are strictly enforcing dress codes as part of their passenger decorum policies. So even if you're heading to a beach destination or coming from a party weekend, make sure your airport outfit is presentable, respectful, and complete. No bare feet, no visible undergarments, and definitely nothing that could start a conversation for the wrong reasons. Because yes, your flip-flops and tank top could be the reason you miss your flight. Number 9. Missing the check-in cutoff. Even if you're at the airport, this one catches more travelers than you'd think. You made it to the airport. You're standing in line. You even see your flight still listed on the screen. But then, the agent tells you, sorry, check-in is closed. We can't let you board. Most airlines have strict cutoff times for check-in and baggage drop, usually 45 to 60 minutes before domestic flights, and up to 90 minutes for international. Once that deadline hits, even if you're standing right there, they're not required to help you. They won't reopen check-in. They won't magically restart the bag belt, and if your name's not on the manifest by cutoff, you're not flying. To avoid it, use online check-in 24 hours in advance whenever possible. Arrive early, especially if you're checking a bag, and don't assume the rules are the same for every flight. Some airports close even earlier depending on the airline or destination. Being at the airport isn't enough anymore. You need to be checked in and through before the clock runs out. Number 10. Missing the boarding window, even if the plane hasn't left. Here's the other sneaky deadline most travelers overlook. The boarding window. You might already be through security, sipping overpriced coffee, browsing duty-free, and still miss your flight, because boarding usually closes 15 to 30 minutes before takeoff. Once that door is shut, it's shut, even if the plane is still sitting there, even if the wheels haven't moved. Airlines won't reopen the door for anyone, not for late passengers, not for influencers filming content, not even for VIPs. And don't think a quick sprint through the terminal will save you. There are stories of people getting to the gate just in time to watch the plane pull away, alone. Here's what to do. Set an alarm for boarding time, not just departure time. Aim to be at your gate at least 20 minutes early, and keep an eye on screens in case your gate changes last minute, because you don't want to be that person begging to get on while your plane is already halfway down the runway. 11. Incorrect personal info or name mismatch between ID and booking. This one feels like a tiny mistake, but it can have huge consequences. If the name on your boarding pass doesn't match your ID exactly, you could be denied at check-in or at the gate. Even something as small as booking under Liz when your ID says Elizabeth, or forgetting your middle name, or entering the wrong birth date during booking, that's enough to cause problems. And don't even think about using nicknames as a joke. One traveler booked their friend under the name Captain Cool and thought it would be funny. Spoiler, they never got on the plane. Why is it so strict? Because airlines are required to follow government security regulations, and that means full legal name, letter for letter. If anything is off, the system can't verify you properly, and you won't be allowed to board until it's fixed, which usually isn't possible at the last second. Here's your fix. Always double-check your booking details as soon as you purchase. If there's a mistake, call the airline immediately. There might be a name change fee, but that's way better than being left behind at the airport with a fully paid ticket you can't use. Number 12. Not having the right ID, real ID or valid passport. This one is hitting hard in 2025, especially for people who haven't flown in a while. Thanks to new TSA rules, your old driver's license might no longer be enough to get through airport security. Even for domestic flights in the US, if your ID doesn't have the real ID star in the corner, it's no longer valid for flying. And if you're flying internationally, your passport needs to have at least 6 months of validity beyond your return date, plus at least 2 blank visa pages for certain destinations. Airlines and TSA agents won't bend the rules on this. If your ID doesn't meet the updated requirements, you're not going anywhere. To avoid this one, check your license for the real ID star. If it's not there, head to your DMV and upgrade before your next trip. For international flights, flip through your passport and check for damage, expiration, and those blank pages, way before your travel date. And always have a backup, like a passport card or global entry ID, just in case. It's the simplest thing, but it's grounding more passengers than ever. Number 13. Being deemed medically unfit to fly. Here's one most travelers never even think about until it's too late. If airline staff or flight crew believe you're too sick, too intoxicated, or too physically unstable to fly, they can deny you boarding on the spot. You might not feel that unwell, but if you're visibly coughing, sweating, limping from recent surgery, or showing signs of distress or extreme anxiety, they may flag you as unfit for travel. And if you're under the influence, even just a little too much alcohol at the airport bar before a morning flight from Vegas, that could be enough for the gate agent to step in and say, "Not today." It's not personal, it's policy. Airlines have to consider the safety of everyone on board, and they don't want to risk a medical emergency in the air or an unruly passenger situation mid-flight. Once you're flagged, there's no appeal process. You're not getting on. So if you're traveling after a surgery, illness, or condition that could raise concern, call the airline ahead of time. You might need a doctor's note, medical clearance form, or special assistance setup. Being proactive is always better than being told no in front of a full gate. But before we get to the final and most important reason, if you've made it this far, thank you. I really appreciate you watching and learning with me. If you're finding these tips helpful, please give this video a like, subscribe to the channel, and drop a comment if you've ever seen someone get denied boarding, or if it's almost happened to you. Now, let's get to the last one, the one most people never see coming. Number 14. Uncontrollable events or disruptions. You did everything right. You checked in early, followed every rule, packed smart, smiled at the gate agent, and yet, you're still told, sorry, you won't be flying today. Why? Because of something completely out of your hands. In 2025, more and more travelers are being denied boarding due to uncontrollable disruptions, and most of the time, they happen with no warning. We're talking sudden severe weather that grounds flights with no backup plan, air traffic control delays that push your flight past crew hour limits, medical emergencies on the previous flight that spill into yours, even security threats, political protests, or equipment failures that shut down parts of an airport completely. And the worst part? You're not always notified in real time. Sometimes your flight is quietly canceled, rebooked without your consent, or delayed so long that the gate simply closes and you're marked a no-show. So what can you do? Use the Airlines app and turn on notifications. Track your flight status with third-party tools like FlightAware or Flight Radar 24. And when things go sideways, stay calm and proactive. The polite passengers get rebooked faster and often better. Because sometimes it's not about what you did, it's about how quickly you respond when the unexpected hits. And that's it. 14 reasons you might be denied boarding at airports in 2025, and how to avoid each one. If this helped you feel more prepared, please share it with a friend, leave a comment, and of course, subscribe for more weekly airport and travel tips. Until next time, safe travels, and may your boarding pass always scan green.